Welcome back to Tied Up with the Morgans. Today, we're going to get into a few things. Don't know how much I can show on camera yet because of some outdoor with the Morgan stuff we're working on that is keeping quiet for now until we're ready to unveil this new venture, I guess you could say. But anyways, welcome back. Right now I'm running some errands. I just dropped off a tire. I'm at Scander Tire. That's the tire place we've used forever. They're just right out of town. And you've probably already seen it on my dad's channel. Last night he was coming back with a load of topsoil in the dump trailer and got home and found an Allen wrench stuck in the tire. And it was a pretty big one. So it's a big hole. We're going to see if they can fix that. And if not, we get a new tire. So right now I'm heading up to grab a few things for the that little venture I'm talking about that I'm not ready to share yet, or we're not ready to share. But look at that Jeep. That is beautiful. Let me get my phone out to get a video of that. You can see it better. So I can zoom in. Right now what we're getting into, taking a break from what I've been working on, the little thing we're keeping quiet right now. And I'm out here walking the dogs. And I've shown this quite a bit. The White Snakeroot. This one's about 3.5 feet tall. Maybe 4 feet. They get pretty tall. I don't know if you can hear that. Jinx, I think, is following us. I'm willing to bet she has a chipmunk or a mouse because she's meowing. And usually that's when she meows, is she wants to show us what she got. The scientific name of this is Ageratina altissima, I believe is how you pronounce it. Well, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. That's how I pronounce it. Right here is bottlebrush grass. It's a native grass. Looks like there's some seeds here, and I don't have my bags on me. But there's the white snakeroot. It's a part of the Asteraceae family, I believe is how you pronounce that, Asteraceae. There's Jinx right there. She used to go on the walks all the time with my mom and the dogs. Piper's gonna get her. Hi, Jinx. Something that's kind of interesting with the white snakeroot is the varying locations it can grow. It can grow in shaded woodlots like this with little sun. It can grow in open areas with lots of sun. It really isn't too picky. It has a pretty big native range. Looks like it's north of Texas, all the way north of Texas, and then everywhere east of that. Doesn't go anywhere west of that area. It can get to be about almost 5 feet tall. And so you see it's kind of slowing down, not a whole lot of it right here. Whereas up over that ridge you can see maybe there's a lot of it over there. Yeah, so it can grow in wooded areas like this, closed canopy forest. It can grow in open, grow in, a lot of roadsides you'll see at this time of year. And it does bloom about, I believe it starts probably the end of August, I think is when I first started to see it, usually every year, end of August into September. And that's when it's in full bloom, mid-September, even late September, I'd say. So I'd say around late August through September is the bloom times. Jinx wanted to come along for the walk, I guess. The white snakeroot, if you know much about it, I'm sure you know that it can cause what's known as milk sickness. You don't want this if you have like a pasture. You don't want it in your pasture because if a cow eats it, you can get sick from that. That's actually how Abraham Lincoln's mother died. Let me turn the camera on here. You can see the squirrels have been busy already. Hickory nuts, these are the shells. This is wet too. I don't know if that means that's freshly opened or not, but they're getting to work. But yeah, so the snakeroot, it is toxic, very toxic if you eat it, but I don't know why you'd eat it. Yeah, so sometimes I'll see people in different forums asking how to get rid of it because they're very scared. Some people are very scared of it, but I think it's one of those things. I'm not saying it's not toxic, but look at Archie playing here. My money's on Jinx. As I was saying while we watch these two, I think the thing with the white snakeroot, and I feel like this is a lot of different things. So many people are afraid of it when they hear of it being toxic, and it's not a wives' tale. I'm not going to say that because it is toxic, right? But I think sometimes people hear of things, or you hear those stories, and it gets passed around as being extremely dangerous, and you need to wipe it out. When in reality, yes, it's dangerous, but I could probably find a lot of plants out here that are not good to eat, that would make you sick, especially if you want to talk about fungi in general. I mean, of the amount of fungi out here, you don't just go around eating that. So I mean, if you're not going to eat mushrooms, you see, why are you going to do this? I know people worry about their kids, is what I've seen people say. They want to get rid of it because of their kids. Don't let your kids eat stuff in the woods, I think is the answer to that. Because yes, this is toxic, but there are plenty of things out here that are toxic that you shouldn't be eating. Yeah, there are some things you can eat, but most of the things you find out here will need to be cooked before eating. So I don't think it makes sense to try and eradicate white snakeroot when it is a very important pollinator this time of year. It's a late season pollinator. There's things like ironweed, that's a late season pollinator. Goldenrod sometimes gets a bad name because it's aggressive. So is the white snakeroot, and some people don't want that, but if you care about the pollinators, I think you're going to leave it. I mean, unless of course you have a pasture and you don't want that in, then yeah, that makes sense because you don't want your livestock grazing on that stuff. But here's more of the hickory nuts busted open. Boy, they're busy. But yeah, that's my point is, I think it's silly to try and get rid of a native plant that provides much more benefit than the non-natives. I love the way the white snakeroot looks. It doesn't, yes, it spreads, it's very aggressive, but it's not taking over. It's not, I mean, I've seen patches that are very aggressive, right? But it isn't hindering the growth of anything else, right? You got dogbane in here. You have, unfortunately, a Japanese stiltgrass. You got some brambles. You have a number of things that are still growing just fine, regardless of the white snakeroot. So it isn't like it chokes anything out. It doesn't allow, or it doesn't keep anything from growing. So I don't think there's an argument. The only argument there is in a pasture. Other than that, if I think people will get afraid of touching it or whatever. And sometimes there's like wives' tales. There's things that get spread that people hear and then associate it with, oh, that's extremely dangerous. Don't touch it, when that's not the case at all. So I don't know. It's worth keeping in mind. I don't see the argument to eradicate it from your property whenever it provides a lot of benefits to the caterpillars, to the butterflies, which then feed the birds and so much more. So in my opinion, white snakeroot is always welcome. And it's nice to get some color this time of year. It brings a nice white. So I am a fan of white snakeroot. We can look at it a little closer. So as you go further up, so there you can tell here in the stem, it's hairless, smooth stem. And as you go from the ground up, that's where the biggest leaves are. As you get higher up, the leaves get smaller. At the bottom, some leaves can be about 5 inches long, 3 to probably 3.5 inches wide. There's also on each leaf, especially it's more noticeable on the bottom, each leaf here, there are kind of 3 main stems you can see. They branch off, but you can kind of see these 3 stems on each leaf that are that stand out the most. Okay, well, that was a nice plant we just were looking at. Fortunately, it spreads very easily. When it goes to seed, the seeds are then spread through the wind. So you're looking at the leaves just a little closer before Archie interrupted, but yeah, it looks like right here is kind of when it's getting ready to go to seed. You can see these seeds will develop and be spread by the wind. Another way it spreads is through the rhizomes. It has a rhizome root system, which causes it to be very aggressive and spreads that way as well. But I would say the bloom time is about probably 6 weeks to 2 months even. It sticks around for a nice little bit. And you can see some here much shorter, like 18 inches maybe. I'd say they probably, I think I said 5 feet. I would say they grow about 4 feet tall, maybe a little taller in some areas, but yeah, don't get a whole lot taller than that. Yeah, really nice flower. So yeah, their growing conditions I briefly talked about, but I mean, they can grow in shade, not complete shade. I mean, they get some sun in here, but not full sunlight either. I mean, I guess they can, but it needs some moist soil as well if it's going to grow in complete sun. It can't be complete sun with very dry conditions. It'll cause the leaves to turn yellow and not look as nice, and probably eventually lead to its death. Other than that, they're very easy to grow. Not that you'd want to grow this yourself, just because it is aggressive. It spreads so easily. So it's one of those things, I don't see the point in collecting the seed because there's really no threat. At least on our property and in most places this time of year, you see it everywhere along roadways. So it's one of those things, I don't see the need to collect the seed because it is doing just fine. Things that I do definitely want to collect seeds from are always things that could use assistance. Here, we're very fortunate on our property to have no issue of oak regeneration. The oaks here keep growing, but that's something that a lot of people struggle with on properties. I've heard even in Pennsylvania, a lot of places they are struggling with getting oaks to grow back on their own due to, I think a big part of it is the maples. The maples spread very easily. I mean, I'm a big fan of maples because of the maple syrup, but in reality they provide far less of a benefit than an oak tree. See, there's a butterfly flying around here. Oaks are really, oh, here's a real nice patch. See, it looks nice, and especially the way he mows through here. Got white snakeroot, you got dogbane. Yeah. Oh, I was talking about oaks. The oaks are the most beneficial tree you can have, a native oak. So I like to grow some of them. I already got some red oak acorns. I can get some white oak. I like to get some bur oak and black oak. Those are the oaks that we have on the property. Oh, and shingle oak. So hopefully collect some acorns this year from them and grow them. But yeah, like I was saying, I'm just growing things that are really needed. Sure, we don't have a problem with oaks on our property, but maybe I'll sell them to someone that needs them, or maybe I'll just plant them in places that, you know, seem to be lacking oaks. The other things I'm collecting are, I'm going to collect some ironweed wing stem. I collected a bunch of that because I've really only seen it growing in one area close to our property, nothing on the property. So that's kind of the seeds I'm trying to collect, are things that we don't have a whole lot of, things that might be struggling, and things that I want more of. You know, I'd like more oaks. We really don't need any more maples. So I thought about trying to propagate, but they are having no issues growing. So we probably have too many of them. Jinx is somewhere out there still. Oh wait, there she is. Really, my mission this winter is going to be battling all of the bush honeysuckle, the privet, and autumn olive. I cut down a bunch of them, but I'm going to be really working on doing the hack and squirt. So that's cutting it and then applying a herbicide straight to it, because in the colder months it's whenever all of its energy is going down into the roots, rather than the warmer months like spring. For maple, if you haven't watched the maple syrup, the way maple syrup works, the sap goes down in the cold months. Here's maple trees right here. The sap goes down in the colder months, stores its energy down below the ground, or in the ground, and then as it warms up, all that goes back up into the tree, to its branches. So it's important to do that as it's getting colder, because it's going to go, that herbicide is then going to go down into the roots and hopefully kill off the whole plant, preventing it from spreading more, because it's very aggressive. All right, enough rambling. We're back. Gonna get back to it. I think I'm gonna run a camera for my dad right now. We'll see. On Arch or Piper.